the solution to our problems is to address the issue of the condition of the cow and the bull going to the slaughterhouse. So until people come across and start doing this, start to understand the importance of the distressed condition of the cow and the bull, that all these other so-called solutions will never work. They're not going to work out until we address the condition of the cow and the bull. Also, the milking of the cow means drawing principle of religion in a liquid form. This is extremely important. According to the Vedic conception, milk is essential to develop the brain. The fat in milk is not for your body, it's for your brain. You need the fat of the milk to have your brain working properly, to nourish the tissues of your brain. Because spiritual knowledge, just like any important knowledge, can sometimes be a little bit subtle, a little bit complex. So we need to have a well-developed brain to understand that. Now, I understand that in this today, the condition of the milk supply is not very good. So this is not an attack on vegans or anything like that, or people who don't want to drink milk. I mean, that is completely understandable right now in the sense that milk supply is contaminated, that they've put so many contaminants into the milk, the hormones, the antibiotics, the condition that the cow is kept in, that I can completely understand people not wanting to drink milk right now. So this verse is specifically talking about milk from protected cows. So this means cows that are kept in a very nice condition, cows that are loved. They can deliver the miracle food milk that can help you to enhance your brain substance to understand the subtle matters of spiritual life. And certainly in the past in India, this was a hallmark or feature of the civilization that as Prabhupada refers to here, sadhu, the word sadhu means sage or saint, that the sadhus, the sages and the saints, they would go door to door to beg a little milk because they would just basically live on milk. That's all they had, perhaps a little butter, but they would not be some kind of gluttonous personality as we see today, so many people who call themselves saints and sages, but they're nothing but gluttons. So if you want to know a real saint or a real sage, one way that you can judge them is by their eating habits. If they minimized their eating or they're very simple in their eating habits, then that can be one indication that the person is actually bona fide. Whereas if they're just another glutton, you might want to think twice about accepting that person as some kind of sage or saint. And so in the past in India, the sages and the saints would go door to door begging a little milk for their sustenance, and while the householder would be milking the cow or getting the milk, then that would give the opportunity for the sage to transmit some transcendental knowledge to the householder. Because, in household life, there's so many problems, and to earn a living, to maintain the family, to do so many things, to maintain the house, that sometimes we forget about transcendental knowledge. And so this was a system within the culture of India to help the householders remember transcendental knowledge. Yeah, this is a lot of information here. A lot of information. So in Kali Yuga, the calves are separated from the cows as early as possible, for purposes which may not be mentioned in the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. I mean, if people would read the Srimad Bhagavatam, so many things are mentioned. It is unbelievable. So when it says here that for purposes which cannot be mentioned, we can just understand it as very horrible. It's so horrible that really in mixed or a gentlemanly or a female company, we don't even want to talk about these things, like, for example, what goes on in the slaughterhouse. One thing I might mention here, too, that my firm conviction is that what goes on in the slaughterhouse has nothing to do with food or meat. It has to do with a satanic ritual. And then to get the inhabitants of the population to drink the blood of the satanic ritual to turn their minds towards darkness and ignorance and foolishness. Because if you look, I'm not recommending that people go to YouTube or to any of these sites and actually see what's going on in the slaughterhouse, although it's very easy to do that nowadays. It could be argued in the past that these things were hidden, that no one could really know what was going on except for the workers in the slaughterhouse, but now it's all out into the light of day. And, I've taken a glimpse at what goes on in the slaughterhouse, and even an ordinary person could instantly come up with maybe 20 or 30 ways to make it more humane, even if you're going to kill the animal, which of course we're saying that you shouldn't do that, but even if you were going to do that, even an ordinary person, an untrained person in these matters could see that, well, there's probably, so many things that could be done to make this a more humane situation. So what goes on in the slaughterhouse is to inflict maximum pain, maximum torture upon the animals. That is creating them to release all kinds of fear toxins within their body, and that is released into the blood. And then the population goes to places like McDonald's and Burger King, and if you examine them, these buildings, they actually look like Shinto temples a lot of times, because they're indirectly telling you that you're being indoctrinated into a satanic cult, that this is the church. Look at it. It looks like a temple, and you're going there. You're eating the blood sacrifice of terror and fear, and people are taking this as some kind of normal thing. But it's not normal. It has nothing to do with food or healthy food. It has to do with people drinking blood of terror in a satanic ritual. They're going to their little shrine and consuming it there. And, basically you've been indoctrinated into the religion of Satanism. So people might want to take a look at that, what they're doing when they go to these so-called fast food restaurants. And I recommend that people stop doing that immediately. Okay, wow, let's move on to text 4. Maharaj Pariksit, well equipped with arrows and bow and seated on a golden embossed chariot, spoke to him, the Sudra, with a deep voice sounding like thunder. In purport, an administrative head or king like Maharaj Pariksit, with full majestic authority, well equipped with weapons to chastise miscreants, can challenge the agents of the age of Kali. Then only will it be possible to counteract the degraded age. And in the absence of such strong executive heads, there will always be disruption of tranquility. The elected show bottle executive head, as representative of a degraded public, cannot be equal with a strong king like Maharaj Pariksit. The dress or style of the royal order does not count. It's one's actions which are counted. So here, in just this short verse and short purport, again, there's important information here that the elected show bottle executive head, as a representative of a degraded public, cannot help us. People should understand that the elected officials are show bottle, that they have no real power, that the power lies behind the scenes, and they are puppets. They are actors on a stage. They've been, just like I watch these politicians. I watch all of them, and they're reading off a script. They're looking into a teleprompter. Now, if I were elected president, I'd be able to stand up in front of the people and look them in the eye and speak from my heart. I wouldn't have somebody writing scripts for me that I'm never even looking up off the script, and the only time it looks like I'm even looking at you is because I'm reading off a teleprompter. That would not happen. I'd speak to people directly from my heart based on what I know is right and what I know is wrong. How can you trust these people that won't even look you in the eye, that someone has handed them a script to read? Politics, like we can understand that sports has become entertainment nowadays. So also we should start to understand that politics has also become entertainment. It's blue versus red. It's the Jets versus the Patriots. It's the Yankees versus the Phillies. It's just something to keep your mind absorbed, thinking that perhaps, your team will win. But it has nothing to do with the truth. It has nothing to do with improving the society. It has nothing to do with real leadership. These people are false. They're phony. And the actual power, and we can see too that what is the difference between George Bush and Barack Obama? There's no difference. The exact same agenda is being pushed forward, even though so many promises were made that the wars would be stopped, that the social condition would improve, that the economic condition would improve. None of those things have come to pass. But actually we see the same agenda being put forward. The slaughter of the animals, the slaughter of the human beings around the world, unjust wars, insane economic policies that only benefit the uber super wealthy, while the common man is discarded. So just take a look at it, that so-called they're on opposite ends of the political spectrum, but yet the same agenda is being pushed forward. So this proves that the real power lies behind the scenes, that they've given you some puppets to invest your energy into and to distract you from what the real truth is, that these people will not help you, and they will just push forth an agenda for their own purposes. And if anyone steps out of line, they'll be killed, just like JFK or Martin Luther King or Bobby Kennedy. The moment you step out of line from the script that they've given you and actually try to do something good for the people, you'll be killed. Okay, let's take a look at text 5. So this is Maharaj Pariksit speaking. Oh, who are you? You appear to be strong, and yet you dare kill, within my protection, those who are helpless. By your dress you pose yourself to be a godly man, king, but by your deeds you are opposing the principles of twice-born Kshatriyas. Purport. The Brahmanas, Kshatriyas, and Vaisyas are called twice-born because for these higher classes of men there was one birth by parental conjugation, and there is another birth of cultural rejuvenation by spiritual initiation from the bona fide acharya or spiritual master. So a Kshatriya is also twice born like a Brahmana, and his duty is to give protection to the helpless. The Kshatriya king is considered to be the representative of God to give protection to the helpless and chastise the miscreants. Whenever there are anomalies in this routine work by the administrators, excuse me, I'm going to get a drink of water here. There is an incarnation of the Lord to reestablish the principles of a godly kingdom. In the age of Kali, the poor helpless animals, especially the cows, which are meant to receive all sorts of protection from the administrative heads, are killed without restriction. Thus, the administrative heads, under whose noses such things happen, are representatives of God in name only. Such powerful administrators are rulers of the poor citizens by dress or office, but factually they are worthless, lower-class men without the cultural assets of the twice-born. No one can expect justice or equality of treatment from once-born, spiritually uncultured lower-class men. Therefore, in the age of Kali, everyone is unhappy due to the maladministration of the state. The modern human society is not twice born by spiritual culture. Therefore, the people's government, by the people who are not twice born, must be a government of Kali in which everyone is unhappy. So let's take a look at some of the advice here. One thing I want to mention is that when Bhaktivedanta uses the term spiritual master, it doesn't mean that he is the master over anyone. It means he has mastered spiritual knowledge. So this is not a system to try to subjugate anyone to anything or a system to have anyone bow down to anyone else. It is rather a system that, just like if I want to understand a musical instrument or mathematics or physics, I must accept some kind of teacher. So people may say that, all this knowledge is inherent within them, but this is not practically what we see, that we have to learn any substantial knowledge from some sort of teacher, whether it's reading or writing or arithmetic or playing a musical instrument. A teacher has to be accepted. And that teacher, the more of a mastery of the subject that the teacher has, oftentimes that makes a better teacher because they understand the intricacies and the subtleties, and they can give you different tricks and hints and shortcuts how to attain the goal of mastery of the subject. So we have to understand that when the term spiritual master is used, he's not the master of you, he's the master of the knowledge, and he can help you. So I want to make that clear as we proceed forward. And also, here it is important that it is noted that the Kshatriyas, or the protectors of the society, their duty is to give protection to the helpless. So here we often see that, like examples like in Afghanistan and Iraq, it's often the helpless that are the first to be targeted, to be killed. So we can take it that these are not true Kshatriyas or true warriors. I'm not trying to condemn any poor soldier in the field doing his duty and carrying out the orders that are given to him. Rather, this is a condemnation of the policies which have brought about this hellish condition, that the helpless people are being basically targeted to be killed in so many different ways.